What's going on? First video of 2025. Today what I'm going to be talking to you about is Microestil DecoPast. DecoPast is their premix system, which is good for low traffic floors, cabinets, counters, as long as you're using a solvent-based sealer. And also you can use it for showers and lots of other decorative kind of areas that you can put this material. What's really great is it's pre-mixed. We have a slew of different colors, but for this particular application, what I'm going to be showing you is how to just work through the process. So what we've got on here already is a sanded primer. So when we put our first coat on, it's got a nice key and grip to it. This is an acrylic-based primer. We sell it. We can help you get it from other places if you need to, or you can just buy it from us. Let's get started. Microestil DecoPast. All right, so we got our sanded primer. We got our material on our hawk. We're using a Comay 9.5 inch, 240 millimeter trapezoidal trowel. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna spread this on here like you would any plaster material. What's really great about this product that I like so much is that it doesn't dry rapidly fast. So it gives you time to actually spread the material and work with it, then versus with some other acrylic materials we've used where you get a dry edge instantly and you're having all these issues trying to apply it. Here you actually have a lot of time to use it. You can actually spread it a bit thicker. You can create a bit of underlayer texture if you want. All of that's going to add interest to your finish that goes on top, because whatever is below will come to the surface. So if you spread it with a lot of chatter, it's going to come through in the finish. So the idea is that you want to create whatever you're hoping to see in the end to come through into the top. So for instance, this is our first mock-up for this finish. And you can see we've got some chatter, some texture underneath. That will telegraph through to the final end of the finish. Now you can see we have a smoothish surface. We've got some lines here and there, some tool marks, some interest, because you're gonna end up with some of that in your base coat anyways. So the point is to try to control it more than just to leave it as some random thing that you did not think about. You can also sand this and apply another coat over top of it, or just proceed with your finish just like this and then apply your next layer over top so that this becomes a part of that finish. All right, so there we go. Our first layer is now on. We're gonna leave this to dry 100%, so then we can proceed with our next coat. That could take anywhere from 4 to 24 hours, depending on how hot it is where you are, or just the type of environment you're working in. You can put a fan on to kind of speed up that process, but you do want it to be dry 100%. Now, I will say that you could use a powdered micro cement product, whether it be Pool Chem or the Plus system underneath, and then this over top of it. It will dry and set a lot faster, which gives you the ability to either move through your project quicker, or you can create other types of textures and things underneath, and then you're only pulling this layer tight to bring that layer through and the next layer. There's so many different key tricks and different things you can do to intermingle all of the Microestil materials together to create different unique finishes. So now this layer has dried. This is our DecoPast base. And what we're gonna do now is do a light sand on the surface of the DecoPast to remove any of the high spots, because otherwise it's gonna telegraph through and we're not really gonna wanna see that. What this pad is here is actually a diamond abrasive pad. These last for a really long time. It's got the extraction holes in it. This is 100. This is a used one that we've used on some floors and stuff like that. I can hit this super quick and light with this and it'll dust this off. We will have these for sale here pretty soon. You can also use Mirka pads and stuff like that, but you're gonna find you're gonna burn through these really quickly. So I like to use these types of pads for this because it just lasts longer and works a bit better, and it doesn't kill the pad as quickly. So I've also got an interface pad on my Mirka. This is a 5.0, 6-inch. And basically I'm just gonna plunk this on here and try to line up the holes as best as I can, and that's it. All right, now that we've done that, Now you have two options, right? There could be some residual dust on there. I'm gonna check it with my hand. It seems pretty good to me. But if you were doing a floor or something of that nature, I would then seal this again with the P541 primer. I didn't show you on that because we're actually doing this on walls, but not on floors. But that is the step that you would do. You would now, after you sand it, just do a quick wipe down with the P541 to neutralize any of that dust. We're not doing that in this application because we're doing it on walls, and I'm not super crazy sanding it. For the next step in this application, we're going to apply the DecoPast Pheno. Tinted the same color. It's probably going to be a little bit lighter than what's on here. That's okay. That's not a big deal because we're going to get full coverage. We're just going to spread it, not like grid patterns or anything like that. You're going to see what we got going down. Okay, so now here's the real trick. You can now, at this point, you could leave a little bit of surface texture purposely so that when you do your next coat, that now you will have a lot of interest. And traditionally, I like to do this right after I've pulled that first coat that you see underneath there now. With this, you can create a really cool underneath texture that's really soft. Almost like you're doing a wet on wet, which basically is what I'm doing. The beauty of Microestil DecoPast is like lime materials, you can do multi-layer wet on wet. If you put it on too many times, you'll have to wait a great deal of time for it to dry. Now, this isn't something you can do on floors, but this is definitely something you can do on walls. Now what you'll see is I have this really cool surface texture. You can kind of see it pulling through a bit. Now we could leave it like this and just sand it, or we could come back and compress it in a little while. There's a lot of different things we can do in this situation. That's going to come down to you and your experience as you grow with using the materials. But that is the gist of the key, is creating that texture. So if you have two people, you could be doing that as you're going, or one person doing it. Now, the thing that's pretty crazy is the color looks really light right now. But that is what the color is going to dry to. It dries about 50% darker, especially once you get all of the clear coats and everything like that on there. So you gotta really take account for that. So now we're just gonna leave this layer to dry. Traditionally, we always do 3 coats, maybe 2.5. But with this system, I like doing a full base, letting it dry, a base again, or pheno, and then one more pheno or extra pheno. There's a lot of different ways to do it. It just depends on what you want to do. But this, we're going to do pheno 2 layers over 1 layer of base. All right, here you go. So now you can see some of that underlying surface texture I was talking about. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. This has only been drying for about an hour. All right, so here we go. We are ready for our final coat. Now I've let this dry maybe about 30 minutes. I've kind of had a fan going on it. It's not 100% dry, but it's pretty dry. So I'm just going along, scraping off any of the high spots. I don't want to sand it again. What I am going to do now is I'm just going to pull a really tight coat and try to compress it and polish it like I would with a plaster, lime plaster, Venetian, whatever. Bring out a lot of that cool texture and everything that's in there. I'm going to have the rest of the video up close so you can see my hand movement and how I'm doing the rest of the work. These areas that you see there, those will dry. You won't see that. That's what's really great about this material. That will go away. These lines, if you don't want those lines, like I said, you could use a Bianco. For me, it's got to have some movement though, some type of something, or it will look like a painted finish, and we really don't want that. It's really neat, and you can't really see it in here right now, but it's got just a little bit of like pitting texture going on as well, which is really cool, because then it also doesn't look like a paint, it actually is a plaster. I also really like that.